My name is Alan Foos. My last video and this one described the pattern of profound incompetence, dishonesty, and malicious sexual harassment led by Mr. Art Sickink at Missoula Public Schools, including the impersonation of teachers to watch pornography on the Big Sky High School server. I had encountered similar work cultures at other government jobs in Montana since my master's from MSU in 1979. I made numerous complaints on this topic then and since to Missoula school superintendents, OPI, local police and attorney generals, but never would they respond. My speaking talent isn't that good and perhaps I could have said it better, so this video will use a computer voice. Important. The written version is surely the best way to understanding, so a link is provided in the description. I had a good job in another town, but unfortunately, my son wasn't safe there and couldn't attend school. I was particularly sensitive to that situation because I'd suffered near-fatal beatings at ages 8 and 10 in Drummond, and 3 forks that left me with a permanent, painful impediment. I had graduated with a near-perfect GPA in soil/chemistry, but by popular acclaim ended up doing a series of interesting computer projects. By 1999, I had 20 years intensive experience with computers. In every aspect from mainframe programming for statistical modeling to the popular VIC-20 and IBM PC, had written a school records program that spared hundreds of thousands in grant money for the college, wrote the grant for one of the first 1,000 base T networks in Montana as well as purchased and installed all the computers, routers and configured the server, wrote a program accurately predicting hydroelectric potential in Washington State and an insurance program for maximizing pensions that sold over $1 million in insurance premiums. I was also one of the first certified Microsoft systems engineers in Montana at the time, earning $60,000 to $100,000 plus. I was born in Missoula and knew it was career suicide, but I needed a safe place for my autistic son to get through school. What I found at Big Sky High School as their new net tech was 400 computers with fragmented operating system that had never had any basic or routine maintenance. At that time, no Windows PC would function correctly without a check disk/F and a defrag every few months, and they were a dysfunctional mess. The network clients hadn't been updated in 3 or more years, so during my 3-month upgrade schedule, I updated the network client from the internet after running chkdsk/F and defrag as well as virus checks and fixing numerous other problems on everyone. So everyone knew very well that every machine in the building functioned flawlessly. Despite Sickink's team of loyal net techs hanging out at the admin building giggling over malicious and sexual gossip, all the other building computers were in the same mess. Sickink was a highly paid systems engineer who had no formal credentials or extensive experience as I did. He wasn't a real systems engineer, of course. He didn't know the first thing about computer maintenance or networks. He had never heard of a check disk or defrag. During long afternoon Friday meetings, he droned on endless hours about district politics, but never once brought up these basic tasks necessary for a computer to stay functional, or how to update the network client on the fly instead of waiting years for him to issue a CD, or how to make an RJ45 cable to connect the computer to the internet. That's right. Keep them dumb as fence posts so they couldn't guess what you were really doing at Big Sky High every night. His addiction to porn and his incompetence were the real reasons for his relentless campaign to discredit my own good work and inflame his so-called team to accost me whenever possible. Then there was the pornography. The stink claimed Big Sky teachers were watching in their classrooms. The stink even arranged a special meeting with the vice principal Brian Fortman, expressing his heartfelt concern over the massive amount of porn being watched in the building. Without a proxy server, which we didn't have then, it would be impossible for him to know such things, but he was a most successful fake. There was great praise given him at admin meetings for his dedication working late nights at Big Sky, because the teachers there were rebels and porn watchers, he claimed, and that bad old server upstairs required constant maintenance, unlike the 18 others in the district which never needed a glance. In fact, I was the only one in history who thoroughly refurbished all 400 computers every few months and knew perfectly well there wasn't any porn use other than the spook who planted scads of it on certain machine during the night to be discovered first thing in the morning by the stink's victims. That happened to David Birch, the small engines classroom instructor, a few weeks after I mentioned to Sicking that I just configured a Microsoft Share to install their unit conversion software, so the students could use it legally at the same time as it was meant to be. Before that I mentioned the Share and he jumped up and shouted loudly so everyone could hear, "Clean it up, Al. I don't care how you do it, just clean it up." Now that was odd. What did that mean? There was no porn on Birch's computer. But no surprise, porn showed up plastered all over Birch's desktop, and shortly the stink showed up with his entourage to witness the unspeakably graphic sex videos by Birch and demonstrate his miraculous talent for sniffing out porn use by Big Sky teachers. The team was horrified at seeing this all over Birch's computer desktop. Sicking went to cleaning it up, while the team yanked the network cables out of the student machines. For weeks after, they conducted a whispering campaign about what a terrible person Birch was and shook their heads over the horrors they had witnessed on the computer Share that I had installed. Sicking's story was we couldn't use Microsoft Shares because teachers would put porn on it so everyone in the district could see it. Of course, neither Birch nor Sicking, who couldn't spell systems engineer, had the slightest idea what a Microsoft shared folder was or how it worked. Nobody would ever think to put porn in a shared folder among hundreds of others where it could only be seen by computers in the classroom workgroup if it were not a hidden folder as it was. This ongoing 5-year farce by Sicking and his roving entourage wasn't just about sex. I was hit week after week with one dirty trick after another. Sicking comes in the building at night to vandalize computers. Then the next day when I'm busy working elsewhere, he sneaks in his team to show how badly maintained they were. After we finally got a proxy server, he would block news sites like CNN Essential to business class lesson plans, just to punish teachers on false grounds who knew what he was up to but still appreciated my success in keeping things running smoothly. The one that took the cake, though, was the morning I wasn't supposed to be at work, and found the team sitting in the computer lab all lathered up over a half-dozen failed hard drives and graphics cards. Don't let me tell you, you tell me. How can 20 computers that have worked flawlessly for 5 years suddenly break down overnight when they've not even been turned on? The only possible answer is that they didn't. Someone had to have come in during the night and vandalized them, but the administrators couldn't see this. Was it just coincidence that Sicking and his team showed up the next morning to witness this miracle and shower me with loud, mean-spirited comments? And yet the administrators couldn't think this through. When I went to the admin building, I was also frequently accosted over accusations inspired by Mr. Sicking that had no basis in reality. You tell me, why would anyone do such things? A key clue was the discovery of a keylogger on teacher machines. Now, who would want to install a keylogger and steal teacher passwords? For what reason other than to impersonate them? Have school administrators no power of understanding? But I knew within a year the stink was using a keylogger to steal passwords and impersonate teachers to watch porn. Curious about his claims that teachers were watching porn, from any command prompt type Z:, the shared drive letter for the upstairs server in the murky attic where Sicking was praised for his selfless overtime. You might have to use a NetWare account with administrative privilege to see the same. From the Z prompt type a TTRIB --H */*/s. Then type dir *SEX*.*/*S. Bang. An avalanche of kiddie porn scrolled by when I first did this. Actually, the /S switch wasn't supported before Windows 10, so back then I had to use a PC magazine utility called sweep.com. Thus, I typed sweep dir *sex*. 32-bit operating systems only. I'll provide a link below to verify this for you. Better is to output the results to a Word file, like this, dir space star sex star dot star space slash s space greater than sign space c artsbornprn. You can then load the cartsporn.prn file into a word processor. Delete the irrelevant files that have the letters sex in the file name, and to give a line-by-line list of the more than 100 cookie files for porn sites he had watched hundreds or thousands of times for years using teacher names. See the text file shown below for better understanding. Many of the girls in these sites appeared to be underage, but whether they were or not was of course not proved. What I initially envisioned was putting the following commands in the autoexecbat file on all teacher computers, so each would store a full list of arts porn in a hidden folder, say Syncinium, with the dates appended. To make this work, you have to use the command prompt to set variables for day, month, year first. For the exact syntax, see the text version with the link given below. Apparently, NetWare adds the username to the cookie file first, so the file names look something like this: MLEIBENGUTH for Marty Leibinguth, the girl's PE teacher. Barely legal lesbian sex timestamped, say 22 June 2000. On the day I left, I could have added a command to display the history of the stink's access to new porn sites on all staff computers in Big Sky High when the machines were first turned on. Roughly 2/3 of these sites were accessed by with Marty Leibinguth's username. She was Art's favorite Patsy. Many were of the barely legal lesbian porn genre. Marty Leibinguth was Big Sky's girls' PE teacher for decades. Sick made it look like she was primed to dive for Kitty Muff at all times. Some porn sites had accounts using the email address bambi@mcps.k12.mtus. The only persons able to create an address on the district mail server were Art. Roughly 2/3 of these sites were accessed by with Marty Leibinguth's username. She was Art's favorite Patsy. Many were of the barely legal lesbian porn genre. Marty Leibinguth was Big Sky's girls' PE teacher for decades. Sick made it look like she was primed to dive for Kitty Muff at all times. Some porn sites had accounts using the email address bambi@mcps.k12.mtus. The only persons able to create an address on the district mail server were Art. I could have easily programmed every teacher computer in the building to maintain a list of these porn links and files in a batch file, easily opened by any work processor. Just by entering CARTS porn, without spaces, in the Windows search box, it would pop up on screen. How often I've hated myself for not doing that. You would think I could have taken this list to an attorney, put Sick in jail, and sued the school. You could still do the right thing and prevent such in the future by admitting to Sick crimes, because any reasonably intelligent person can see I didn't make this up. Is it relevant that the only student ever caught downloading porn was Sick daughter? That's right, he had a daughter in school while he was watching lesbian child porn upstairs. Kids will be kids, but what might family time be like? It's true, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? I tried many times to explain to administrators what Sick was doing, but they blew me off every time. I initially planned to show this to Missoula Police Department, and that would have taken care of Mr. Sick, but on second thought, I was surrounded by fools. I think Sick was also on both city and county payrolls at times and may have had access to their servers as well. Once the police realized who I was, they would cut me off still to this present day. Most recently, for example, my email was accepted, but having forgotten to include something, I resent it 30 minutes later. Someone had already blocked me on the police server. For all I know, Sick himself had access to the police server and was blackmailing the police. Who is this pervert's guardian angel? Yes, I know I committed a felony by deleting these files before I left, but if Sick had exposed the teachers, as he often threatened to do, it was more likely than not they would have been fired and or jailed long before anyone in the system acknowledged the obvious fact it was actually the stink impersonating teachers. The team Sick assembled was his special work of art, led by a short, obese, obnoxious lech, Sick's protege, Roger Hoffman held his own meetings every Wednesday at local cafeterias, where he boasted endlessly about his amazing porn stash that he claimed was especially developed for use in public schools. Perhaps his own assigned middle school he rarely visited from his perch in the admin building. That's right, Hoffman's dream was to show and tell pornography to school children. Look, Dick, see Jane. Roger reminded us frequently that he was the dirtiest old man who ever roamed the halls of public schools, and proud of it. This knew the secret to rise through the ranks. The team hung on every word except Shannon Bradshaw, a pregnant new hire who didn't appreciate Hoffman's relentless sexual banter. This is what net tech meetings are like. This is Montana, where men are men and sheep are nervous. Should I blame myself for not exposing Sicking when Brian Fortman gave me his first and last chance to address a room full of high-ranking administrators? After 5 years, it didn't seem likely I could convince this gathering of puffed-up enforcers. It was too likely they would ignore the obvious that the mighty Stink was the one behind the porn sites accessed from the Big Sky server. Why take the risk of telling these unspeakable horrors to a room full of idiots with their hero Sicking himself sitting a few feet away? Sicking may have convinced them, being birds of the same feather, that the Big Sky teachers were the real cult of perverts, not himself. So I walked out and committed the worst felony by deleting the evidence myself. Sicking had easily betrayed the public trust to conceal his use of the Big Sky server to indulge himself in child porn, for many years going by the cookie dates. So, to distance myself from this nightmare, I had to dump the family and retire in Thailand, while Mr. Sicking continued pounding his pud to kiddie porn in the dusty attic of Big Sky High. I'm a disgruntled employee, it was said, but the truth is I missed an opportunity to do the right thing for the excellent teachers and students at Big Sky who I loved so much. But you can still be responsible and follow the procedure outlined here to expose the same crimes committed since then or on other machines. Hire genuine systems engineer besides myself to at least investigate any remaining evidence of what the Stink was doing and explain to your satisfaction why I could not have made this up. If the district is not complicit in Sicking's behavior and wants to the use of school resources for child porn in the future, then it should pay half the cost of airfare to Missoula, and I'll check and report all 19 school servers for any porn left behind by Mr. Sicking. I've begged them for 20 years, but tar babies don't talk back. Every administrator and teacher should be required to read, believe, and acknowledge this honest account and fully appreciate what I had to endure from Sicking and his team for 5 years and his magnificent performance during his 2 to 3 decades tenure. Of most importance is to read the 4 references below by Big Sky teaching staff I worked with. That more than anything proves everything I've said. I thoroughly enjoyed the more than 100 teachers and delightful 1,300 students. It was a great time. Please read what they had to say, proof that I knew exactly what I was doing and did the job in every way that nobody else in the system has ever been capable of. Read them. Thank you for your concern as a former fellow Montanan. Al Foos, BA Botany/Chemistry, MS Soils/Chemistry, Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, retired.